Ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing? I've had 5 days off. I was supposed to be going to Wisconsin. Instead, I went to Denver and watched homeless tramps play with themselves for a few days. Brilliant. Had a wonderful time. Really made me miss home. There's been a lot going on while I've been away. As you can tell, the Great Purge began. I made a video about it last week, and they've started rounding up the protesters aggressively, especially the armchair protesters who didn't actually go to any protests and are now getting locked up anyway. So I thought for today's video, in a glorious return to form, I'm calling it the two-tier top 10, and I'm going to show you 5 particularly egregious instances of people being locked up for victimless crimes. And I'm going to juxtapose them alongside 5 egregious examples of full-blown, actual murderers in some cases, and the usual collection of lunatics, kiddie fiddlers, and sociopaths that are getting treated with kid gloves by the definitely non-existent, even though 40 million people could see it if they were wearing a bin liner over their head. I've lined up 10 good examples for the whole world to see. I mean, it's painfully obvious, but I thought it might give us a laugh if we cover it in stark terms. So strap yourselves in, let's do it. So for Exhibit A, we've got this cracker, man jailed over racially aggravated posts. A man who shared racially aggravated online social media posts has been jailed. Yeah, so he didn't even make them. He just clicked share. Another funny thing, the BBC being the BBC, they don't tell you what the posts were, but I can tell you because I've found them. One was a picture of a load of blokes jumping off a boat and it said, coming to a neighbourhood near you. Another one was blokes with knives, and it said, what are you going to do when this is happening in your backyard? And the third one was, I don't actually remember what that one was, but there were basically all 3 of them fell very, very, very far short of incitement to anything. They didn't stipulate or name anyone. He didn't write anything. He just shared it. And he's been jailed for it. 12 weeks in prison. Got all the way to the age of 51 without having a criminal record. Never hurt a fly. And now he's doing 3 months in the nick because he dared to click share on a post that we all know falls well short of criminality in the first place. So brilliant. Totally fair and reasonable. Who shall we juxtapose this fella alongside then? Well, how about this one? Highly respected regular Allen's legendary snack bar who engaged in a struggle snuggle with a young girl. Well, he's avoided jail because he's suffering from dementia, bless him. So obviously launched a bit of surprise sex against a girl under the age of 13. But, he's starting to get a bit forgetful like President Biden, so we should all feel sorry for him. Poor fella. So yeah, there's a good one to start with, isn't there? Bloke clicked share on a not even offensive Facebook post, a factually accurate Facebook post, 3 months in prison. Bloke jumps the bones of a child, £50 fine. Cheers then, Kia. Definitely not a two-tier justice system in the UK. No, it's totally reasonable. If you were to poll the general public and said, you there, just stop people on the street. Excuse me, madam, do you think we should lock people up who rattle 12-year-olds? She'd say, no, just fine them. But if you said, do you think we should lock people up who press share on Facebook posts? She'd be like, yeah, 25 years, eat the key. Definitely in lockstep with the feelings of the general public. Our totally one-tier justice system, 100%. Example number 2, man jailed for Facebook posts encouraging violence. Leigh Crown Court heard how Mr. Parler wrote a Facebook status on Sunday morning and said every man and his dog should target the Britannia Hotel in Seacroft. He said migrants are being given the life of Riley off the tax us hard-working people earn, and it could be put to better use. Okay, bit dodgy, suggesting every man and his dog should kick off, but, he's entitled to his opinion, isn't he? Free speech purists have pointed this out many times. If you're daft enough to do something violent and illegal because you read a Facebook post, then that's on you. It's a bit harsh locking up the people who make offhanded comments in a 5-second period without really thinking about it too much. And obviously people were angry because a load of little girls just got killed. Oh yeah, and 50,000 groomed, but we don't want to talk about them right now, do we? Who shall we put him alongside then? How about this one? Mother of 8, 36, avoids jail after stealing £100,000 in illegal benefit claims in return for going on a course. Brilliant. Going on a course. If it was down to Harriet Harman, she'd have sent Ian Huntley on a course. 2 weeks in Flamingo Land in a static caravan, getting told that vicious buggery is not good. And then, let him out, give him a job in a primary school library. Brilliant. So old Saba Mahmood there, she only defrauded the government for over £100,000. Not really that big of a deal, is it? And if you stole £100,000 off the government, they definitely wouldn't send you to prison, would they? Al Capone, Christ, if you steal off the government, you get diddled. Everybody knows that. That's what they got Al Capone on. But if you're called Mahmood and you're a little bit dusky, looks like the government will just send you on a course. Marvellous. Up next, man who used Facebook to encourage rioting jailed. Gaze into the face of evil, ladies and gentlemen. Richard David Williams was handed a 3-month jail sentence for talking about taking part in a riot and sharing a derogatory meme. He talked about it, so this really is the very definition of a thought crime. He thought about doing something wrong and he shared a meme. Well then, the scales of justice must be balanced. And you despicable... Yeah, move over, Jeffrey Dahmer. There's a new top dog in town. Lock him up, throw away the key. Let's see what the English courts do to people who didn't think about doing things, but actually did the things. Agony for mother of teen killed in machete attack after learning one of his killers will be released after 6 months due to prison overcrowding under new Labour scheme. The mother of a teenage boy who was killed in a machete attack said one of his killers will be released after 6 months in jail. There he is, poor young lad, ended his life at the age of 14. But obviously, the bloke who done him in looks like this. So, 5 months in jail, packed lunch, sausage roll, bottle of pop, and a bus fare home. Happy days. Perfectly logical, perfectly reasonable. Definitely not evidence of an insane plot by the deranged activists that run the UK and do as they please while ignoring the feelings of the general public. Because if you think the vast majority of the general public think it's acceptable to hack someone to bits with a 3-foot bladed instrument and then get out in the time it would take Joe Biden to walk 3 laps of Central Park, you've got another thing coming. Yeah. So I'm sure there's a name for this type of thing. Sure there's a name for it. When you lock people up for thinking about doing things, and you let people out who definitely do things, I'm sure there's a name for that. So, is it Kia? Tia? Something like that? Definitely think there's a name for it. And here's one from my hometown. Woman jailed for pushing a burning bin at the police. Stacey Vin, 34, from Middlesbrough, headed towards officers before tripping over and falling to the ground at their feet. And for that awful crime of drunkenness, she's been sentenced to 20 months in prison. Nearly 2 years in jail for that. You must have seen the video of that. It was hilarious. Basically, she was leathered and she was showing off. She didn't touch a policeman. She literally went, yeah, get him, and then fell over in the street and the coppers laughed and picked her up. And she got 2 years in jail for it. Cheers. 2 years in jail for showing off and not actually touching anybody. Yeah. Let's find an example of the followers of the desert god actually touching somebody, shall we? Mercy for the drunk girl gang who attacked woman. A gang of Somalis. Oh, you do surprise me. They're normally such reasonable, well-behaved people who repeatedly kicked a woman in the head, so attempted murder, during a drunken attack were spared jail after a judge heard because of their religion they weren't used to drinking. There she is. She was left looking like Rocky Dennis for 2 weeks after the break danced on her face for a bit. All 4 of them shouted... I can't even repeat that because YouTube is not really a big fan of virulently racist abuse. They shouted that and they stamped on her head, and there was 4 of them facing up to 5 years in jail. But the judge said, you know what, you've got a bit of a tan, and it definitely wasn't racially motivated, even though you were shouting racist murder slogans. So definitely not racially motivated. And because you'd had a pint, well, it's not your fault, is it? You know who I blame? J2O. It's J2O's fault. It's Bacardi Breezer and White Lightning's fault that a murder gang breakdanced on a woman's face while shouting race hate. Yeah, definitely not their fault. Smirnoff Ice should be doing time for this vile crime. Obviously not the people that did it. Here's another good one. Teacher of the Big Book of Desert Fables who abused a girl is spared jail to help his family. Tutor Suleiman Makhnourgiai repeatedly rubbed the 11-year-old's leg and reached underneath her headscarf to fondle her chest. There he is, looking a bit confused. Dow. Charlie Chester, the child molester, avoided prison because his family is dependent on him, and his wife speaks very little English. Fair dues, fair dues. Conversely, Sam Mellier was jailed for 2 years because he printed a sticker that said, "It's okay to be white." Yeah, I don't know about you, but I definitely think diddling kids is nowhere near as bad as printing stickers without any foul language in them. Yeah, logical. Anyway, do I need to go on? Do I need to go on? If you are arguing with anybody who's still labouring under the delusion that the UK hasn't descended into a police state with an aggressively biased Stasi running it, who will lock you up for voicing wrong thing, but not lock girls like that up for volleying a woman in the head while screaming racial epithets. You show them this video, and then you say something along the lines of, "You've got a head full of horse shit, you delusional woke sociopath." So yeah, good, that won it. I hope you found that enlightening. What was it, 10? I don't even remember, I just started ranting. Oh yeah, and I was going to throw in Ricky, remember the councillor Ricky? This fella who literally went on television and said we should, well, read the headline, actually lop people's nuts off. And they arrested him after there was public outcry, but unlike everybody else who was tried and jailed within 3 days of the event, Ricky is now cracking on and presumably doing his day job, and they're going to wait until it all quietens down, and in 6 months' time he'll get a £50 fine. So yeah, mark my words, that's what's going to happen. We do live in a two-tier system. The Stasi is running the UK, and thank God I am an American with lots of ammunition, because if I wasn't, I'm sure they'd nick me as well. That's the world we're living in. It's truly preposterous. The 10 stories I've just shown you are hard, verifiable facts. You know the truth, and I know the truth. All right? Let's call this a public service video. This one, you can share it with all of your delusional woke friends, desperately trying to drag them into the light of truth as the sane part of their tiny minds rebels against the conditioning that's been forced upon them. All right, thanks for watching. It's good to be back. I'll see you all tomorrow. Please like it and share it if you can be bothered, and I'll see you in 24 hours. Toodle pip. Cheers.